Hey guys, it's Nicholas here from upgradeToLife.com, and in today's video we are going to talk about thinking fourth dimensionally. Understanding that is very powerful. So I know this may sound really like a little bit crazy, or like what the fuck is like thinking fourth dimensionally, and I know this, right? And then you see this graphic here and you think like, what the hell is going on? But trust me, when you understand this and you get the point, then this is not something that's really strange. It makes a lot of sense, and you can actually prove to yourself that this is real. So I want you to stay with me. I will share some quotes by Neville with you, and actually his lecture on thinking fourth dimensionally, I can highly recommend you read this. It is very powerful. It is one of my favorite lectures, to be very honest with you. So read it. Go for it. It's an awesome lecture, okay? So with that, let's jump into it, and I want to explain what this means, and when you understand this, you will know why this is so powerful. So the question is, are we able to alter our future? The most remarkable feature of man's future is its flexibility. It is determined by his attitudes rather than his acts, okay? All changes take place in consciousness. Everything takes place in consciousness first. There is no change out in your outer world, in your circumstances, in your life, when there wasn't, first of all, a change within you, in your internal world. Sometimes we are not even aware of that, but that is how it works. And the future, although prepared in every detail in advance, has several outcomes. There is no one fixed, predetermined future. There are infinite futures, and based on your state, based on your assumptions and your imaginal acts, you determine which future you choose. At every moment of our lives, we have before us the choice of several futures we will choose, right? So you have the choice. There's no predetermined future. There are two actual outlooks on the world possessed by everyone: a natural focus and a spiritual focus. Right? So you have two ways of perceiving life and reality. You have a natural one, where whatever you perceive of and see, you say, yep, like that is my focus, that is what is there, that is real. And you can also develop a spiritual one, which sees beyond the physical senses, right? Because like Neville said, when you continue to rely on your senses, then you will continue to be enslaved by what they are telling you. But by growing, evolving, and realizing that, wait a second, there's more than my senses, I can be aware of something that is not there yet, you get this spiritual sense and outlook on life. So, because the habit of only seeing that which our senses permit renders us totally blind to what otherwise we could see. And this is a habit. We have to like unlearn this, to only see and to only trust in what our senses are telling us. If you do so, it is difficult to really apply the law of assumption in a very effortless way. So to cultivate the faculty of seeing the invisible, we should often deliberately disentangle our minds from the evidence of the senses and focus our attention on an invisible state, mentally feeling it and sensing it until it has all the distinctive of reality. So, in simple terms, in order to realize that there is something more, that your imagination is real, Neville like encourages us to test this and to realize that when you imagine something and you really do this with some practice and you actually sense that, wow, this is real, you get beyond this physical world. So the habit of withdrawing attention from the region of sensation and concentrating it on the invisible develops our spiritual outlook and enables us to penetrate beyond the world of sense and to see that which is invisible, right? To perceive things that are there, even they're not seen with your physical senses. Meaning to develop imagination, because again, imagination means spiritual sensation. That is like just human normal sensation and experience. But imagination is spiritual sensation. You experience something that is not here yet, but you can still sense it. You can still be aware of it, which means it needs to exist. You can never have an experience of something that does not exist, that is not already existing when creation is finished, which it is. So when creation is finished, then everything that you see, that you perceive, that you're aware of, does exist. And Neville was aware of this. Neville realized this truth. And then he says, I know of no clearer definition of the means by which we realize our desires than to experience in imagination what we would experience in the flesh were we to achieve our goal. This experience of the end wills the means. I made an entire video about the why only the end matters. Check this out here. This will explain this quote even longer, because right now in this video I don't want to touch too much, put too much detail on this quote. So check this video out. To understand how man molds his future in harmony with his assumptions, we must know what we mean by a dimensionally larger world. For it is to a dimensionally larger world that we must go to alter our future, to manifest your goals, to realize your desires, right? You cannot do this by only focusing on this world, on like your senses. So Neville speaks about this dimensionally larger world, and by the end of this video, you will know what he means by this, which, to give you a little spoiler, is your imagination. To change the conditions here in the 3 dimensions of space, we must first change them in the 4 dimensions of space. Man does not know exactly what is meant by a dimensionally larger world, and would no doubt deny the existence of a dimensionally larger self. He's quite familiar with the 3 dimensions of length, width, and height. And he feels that if there were a 4th dimension, it should be just as obvious to him as the dimensions of length, width, and height. Okay, so you get this, right? We are very familiar with what our senses tell us. There is length, width, and height. We know objects by those 3 things. That is the 3-dimensional world. That is the world that we live in, obviously, right? Just look around yourself. Awesome. So observe that if we bisect, and now I want you to really pay close attention, because I'm going to show you something, explain to you something, and when you get this, then you realize that, yep, there's something more than just what my senses are telling me, and it's awesome. So observe that if you bisect a solid, its a cross section will be a surface. So bisecting means just cutting into a half. So if we bisect a solid, its cross section will be a surface. By bisecting a surface, we obtain a line. And by bisecting a line, we get a point. This means that a point is a cross section of a line, right? A point is just a cross section of a line. When you cut a line into a half and you look at it from the side, it's like a point. So a point is but a cross section of a line, which is in turn a cross section of a surface, which is in turn a cross section of a solid, which is in turn, if carried to its logical conclusion, but a cross section of a 4th dimensional object. So I want to show you this in pictures so that you really get this, because it is right. Don't think that you need to, like, this is some super important stuff and this is what enables me to get my goals. This is just a way to understand your imagination more, and that there is more than the world of senses, but don't rely on this. It's just an amazing understanding to have so that this becomes more easier to you. So now think about this object, this 3-dimensional object, right? When you cut it into a half and you look at this, you see this surface. When you cut this into a half and you look at this, you see this line. When you cut this into a half and you look at this, you get the point. Okay? But the question is, in order to get this 3-dimensional object, what do we have to cut into a half to get this object? Right? You get it, right? You cut this, you get that. You cut this, you get that. You cut this, you get that. But what do you have to cut to get this 3-dimensional object? Right? And here you can see it. So that is a point, but there's a line. This is a surface. This is a 3-dimensional object like you. But what if there is like a 4th dimension, which is just another word for your imagination, right? Don't think I'm delusional or stuff like that. So 4th dimensionally means just imaginative, basically, your imagination. What if? But it's true. But what if? So this world, which we think is so solidly real, is actually a shadow out of which and beyond which we may at any time pass. Man can prove the existence of a dimensionally larger world, right? You can prove the existence that there is more and your imagination is real by focusing his attention on the visible state and imagining that he sees and feels it. So during his lectures, Neville all the time gave his students this little exercise where he said to those people, like imagine to hold a tennis ball in your hand. Now imagine to hold a golf ball. Now imagine to hold a piece of silk or any other material. Right? And when you really do this and practice this, you can do this at home. You can really try this. You can also imagine to bite on a lemon. You will feel more water is coming in your mouth, or you actually feel the heaviness. You can feel that the tennis ball feels different than the golf ball, but it's just your imagination. But it means you cannot sense something. You cannot be aware of something that does not exist. So it must exist at least somewhere, right? Within your imagination. Spiritual sensation. To change the future, we need only concern ourselves with two worlds in the infinite series. The worlds we know by reason of our bodily organs, right? The world of senses, which because you like your eyes know them, your brain knows them, right? And the world we perceive independently of our bodily organs. And that world that you can perceive independently of your senses is, you're right, that is your imagination. You can perceive something beyond your senses in your imagination. That is the point that this video should bring across. Okay? So define your ideal and concentrate your attention upon the idea of identifying yourself with your ideal. Assume the feeling of being it, right? You assume the feeling of being it. It only matters what it implies to you. The feeling that would be yours were you already the embodiment of your ideal. If it would be already true, how would you feel? How would you think? How would you see the world? How would your friends see you? And then live and act upon this conviction. This assumption, though denied by your senses, if persisted in, will become a fact. Persistent assumptions will harden into fact. I made a video. Check this out. I will link it here, or I already linked it in this video. I don't know exactly, but it's on my channel, and it's called Assumptions Harden into Fact. So it will be, first of all, denied by your senses. Obviously, there's no proof, there's no evidence. Here, nothing changed. But if you persist in that, if you remain faithful to it, it will become fact. Imagining creates reality. It is real. And you need to test this. You cannot depend on me. You cannot depend on my videos. You cannot depend on any videos. You need to test it. I tell this all my clients, and I help them do this in my program, which if you're interested in working with me, you can apply for a free 45-minute consultation call in the first link in the video description. I explain this and I help people to do this, to get into the application of all of this stuff. And then they see the results and then they know that this is real. So you will know when you have succeeded in fixing the desired state in consciousness by simply looking mentally at people you know. So I did a video, I did many videos, I know, but I did a video called Frame of Reference. I will link this here because when you shift into a new state, right, you can check yourself if you've already shifted. You will start to look mentally on people you know, your friends, your family members differently. You will look mentally to them differently because you know internally that you're now in this new state. So you also internally let them look differently to you. Again, check this video out that I did on Frame of Reference. Then you will get this point even better because I dedicated an entire video on this topic. So this is the quote with which I want to conclude this video, because then you get this. Then you get this fourth dimensionally thinking, which just means this imaginative point of view, right? Three-dimensional imagination, fourth dimensional. There is no time, and there is no separation, no space. There is no time and space. In your imagination, everything is instantaneously as you would like it to be. But in this world, it takes some conviction. It takes the faith to bring it about, to manifest it in this world as well, which you get automatically by just remaining in this state, in your desired state. And this is the key quote that I want to share with you. So your desire is not something you labor to fulfill. It is recognizing something you already possess. It is assuming the feeling of being that which you desire to be. Believing and being are one. You cannot believe something, right? The last sentence is such a key point. Believing and being are one. You cannot believe something which does not exist. You can only believe something when you already are it within your imagination. And when you are already it, then you already are it. Then you already be it. Believing and being are one. This is key. And your goal, your desire, it is not something that you try to make happen, you labor to fulfill it, and you think, how can I make this happen? No, it is realizing and recognizing something that you already possess, that already does exist. Because when you imagine it, it obviously does already exist. You think it does not exist because you are so much attached to this world of senses. But when you stop being so attached to this world of senses and stop being such a slave to this world of senses, and you evolve and you grow and you realize that imagination is as real as what your senses are telling you, yes, it's real, right? From your ego point of view, it seems to be something separate. But from your consciousness point of view, when you think from this bigger perspective, then consciousness has this experience right now. But you, with your imagination, you tune into something that exists right now, and you say it's fantasy, you say it's not real, because it's not real from your physical focus, but it still is real and does exist. As real as this, basically. So, key point, right? And you assume how it would be if this would be already true. And believing and being are one. So, very important video. We are 17 minutes, awesome. Not a too long video. And I really assume that you got this, because this is really important. And by understanding that, it just becomes easier to apply this, because then you will quicker realize that, oh, yeah, it already exists. It just does not exist in this three-dimensional world, but it already exists within my awareness, within my consciousness. I just experienced it. Okay? So if you have questions about this, feel free to leave me a comment. Also, give me some feedback. I love your feedback, guys. I try to reply to all of your comments. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye, guys.